Welcome to the Osceolas. Where are they now? I'm joined by Pat Carter, former tight end at Florida State from 1984 to 1987, an All-American who went on and played in the NFL for 10 years and coached for 5. Pat, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Glad to be here, actually. Really glad to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you. Pat was a terrific player, came out of Sarasota Riverview. Pat, can you talk about John Sprague and your recruitment to Florida State?
Yeah. John Sprague was my high school coach. I really admire the guy because he really tried his hardest to always try to get guys to go to college, but I almost didn't go to Florida State. It was one of his assistant coaches, because I don't know if you know, but the recruiting process can be difficult at times. And Florida State was my last trip. I had committed to Georgia. I didn't want to take any more trips, and my the assistant coach convinced me to take the trip, and obviously the rest is history. Whoa, that could have been a bad decision right there.
Yeah, so for the listeners, Pat was a very highly recruited player coming out of high school. In your class of 84, I often have said that the class of 85 was the class that was the springboard class for Coach Bowden. But Mark Salva has convinced me otherwise, that it really started in 84 with your class.
I totally agree with it. That's the same class that I'm in, and they have 3 FSU Hall of Famers. We have 3 FSU Hall of Famers. The advantage I give them is they have a coach, which was Odell. You know, he was a head coach, so I give them a little nod on that. But as far as quality players, we had just as many players that produced and helped FSU just as well as they did. I think we had more, because it's guys like Shive Shive no one talks about, David Palmer no one talks about, but all these guys were contributors to the team.
Well, McGowan and
McGowan, well, it's McGowan, Derek Schmidt, and myself are all FSU Hall of Famers.
Right.
And Derek Schmidt is also my high school teammate, so that's pretty cool too.
Derek Schmidt was our kicker back in those days, and of course, Paul McGowan was the first national award winner to win he won the Butkus Award, which was
that's right.
We had won a national award. Of course, 85, the next year we bring in Odell Haggins and Deion Sanders, Sammy Smith, and that was a heck of a class too.
No question. They helped us get over the hump, but I look at 84 as often being discounted. We don't get the credit that we deserve. Obviously, 85 had the glamour guys, but we had the hard hat guys were in 84,
That's exactly right. So we're going to give you the big hug here today.
And I appreciate it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
So that class, 84, 85, they were the nucleus of the group that Pat, you didn't get to redshirt. I mean, by 1987, when the dynasty started, you had played pretty much 44 straight games I saw.
Right.
I think you told me that you didn't start your first game, that Pete Panton did.
That's correct. I didn't even get on the field, and I was upset about it, but fate would have it, Pete got suspended, and then I made it a little tougher for him to get back on that field.
Well, that's the way it was in those days. I mean,
yes.
And then I think we're getting back to that, but where you couldn't miss a practice or you may not get your job back.
That's correct. We had phenomenal players there during that era. We were stacked pretty deep in all positions, really.
So let's jump into it a little bit about your favorite games. What was your favorite moments? My
favorite moment, my favorite FSU moment was I was in high school my senior year, and I was watching college football, and my grandmother was walking by, and I stopped and I said, "Grandma, that's gonna be me next year." And she's like, "Ah, boy, be quiet," and kept going. And so my fast forward my freshman year, we played South Carolina, and I had a really good game. And that Sunday, she calls me all excited and happy. She's like, I saw you on TV. And my phone just kept ringing. Everyone called to tell me that they saw you playing. She was so excited and so happy, but it was a proud moment for me because it was kind of one of those, yeah, I told you I was going to do that, you know? So that was an awesome moment for me.
There were some great moments that I like to reminisce on. Your game against Auburn in '87 was a special moment for Florida State.
Yes.
Because the year before, Coach Bowden had entertained the idea of going to Alabama.
Correct.
And, you know, we had 84, 85, 86, we were good, but we hadn't won that really big game, the one
Right.
that was the signature minute.
Right.
And what were your thoughts in '86 when Coach Bowden entertained going to Alabama?
Yeah, I can recall we played it was in Birmingham. I don't remember the name of the bowl, but we played there, and then we all heard rumors that Coach Bowden may be leaving to go to Alabama. And I was like, wow, I was really kind of concerned about it. But at the same time, I knew we had a really good team. And thank God he did too, you know. And man, that would have been tough. But he knew what he was doing because he knew he had a stacked team at that point. He wasn't going anywhere.
And he made that clear in that film, The Bowden Dynasty, that you know, when they asked him to interview for the job, he was not happy about that. And he did know that I have a heck of a team. And it started that next year of '87.
Yes.
That started the dynasty run, 14 years in the top four. It was your group that started it.
Yes, sir. I'm really proud of that. I always tell people the FSU that I left was not the FSU that I came to, and I'm very proud that I was part of that change.
So Pat, you when you know in that season we go up and we play Auburn, and I can remember before the game and after the game and the celebration after the game, that was a defining moment for Florida State to beat Auburn. Now, as you mentioned, it was later in the year. We had already had a big game against Miami, and it was
Heartbreaker.
A heartbreaker. It came down to we had first, I guess, we got down there at the goal line and could kick a field goal that would have been a tie. And in hindsight, would have put us in the national championship game in '87.
Mm-hmm.
We go for two, and it's incomplete. Danny McManus throws the ball to you.
Right.
Back corner of the end zone. Can you talk about that play and why you think maybe it didn't work?
Well, to me, the play didn't work. We were down on the 3-yard line, and we had Dexter Carter in, which is our pass catching running back, instead of our hammer, Sammy Smith. Well, Miami watches film too, and they do a scout. They had a scouting report, so I'm pretty sure they knew that we were going to be passing the ball instead of running the ball down there on the 3, which gave them a tail, and obviously kind of changed the course of history for us, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think you later ran into the safety that got to the play.
Bubba McDowell was my neighbor in Missouri City, Texas. He lived like 2 doors down. So every year when Miami played Florida State and they show that play, I'd have to suffer through that. You know, it was tough. It was tough, but it was fun. It was fun too.
And now we got Randy Shannon as our linebacker coach and co-defensive coordinator. And I understand that you had some interaction with him during that.
Yeah, well, I remember his number. He was number 22 on the field, and he and I, we tangled a lot during that time. He was an outside linebacker. Sometimes he walked up on the line. Sometimes he played in the stack. But he and I had a lot of interactions. Like, very good player, very smart player, which makes sense why he's a coach, because he was a really smart player and always knew the right place to be at.
So Wally Burnham, who was a linebacker coach at Florida State up until '93, has had experience with Randy and says that he is a very intelligent coach. So that's glad to have him at Florida State.
I'm glad he's there too myself. Because I've watched his success as a defensive coordinator, especially. He's been really good in most of his stops, and I really expect some big things this year. I really do.
You think you play an aggressive style? Is he a man guy?
But by him being he's got to play to the type of players that he has. So if he thinks he got the players to play the aggressive style, I'm sure that he would. But you can only play with you. As great a coach as Nick Saban is, he's not that good if he doesn't have all the players. You got to have the players. So
that's right. As Jim Gladden would say, you can't take a mule to the Kentucky Derby.
That's right. And it's funny you said it because you made me think of during my playing or coaching years, a lot of coaches would always come to me and ask me about Coach Bowden. How was it to play for Coach Bowden? Because a lot of those guys were in awe of Coach Bowden. And so when you said that comment, one particular guy says he got this comment from Coach Bowden. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and Joes, So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I just heard that today from some coaches on our staff about you got to coach to the players you got.
That's correct.
So Pat, he played 10 years in the NFL, and then he coached 5 years in the NFL. So tell us a little bit about your pro experience, and then.
I was a second-round draft pick. Went to the Detroit Lions. Played there my rookie year. Got traded. They decided to change their offense to run a run and shoot. And so I went to the LA Rams, and I was there for 6 seasons. Had a great time there. I had Coach John Robinson, which is a USC, runs the ball. Perfect fit for him. Chuck Knox came behind him. Same thing. They like to run the ball. I was a big blocking tight end. And so, I fit the bill for those guys. And so, gave me an opportunity to keep a job. So it was great. It was great.
Pat, you're in the Florida State Hall of Fame. You're an All-American. I see you're wearing your Florida State shirt and hat. You got Seminole pride in you?
Win, lose, or tie, FSU till I die. That's me, man. No doubt about it. 85 on the field, number 1 in your heart, though. That's me.
Well, I think, Pat, you're going to be watching FSU football this year, and we're going to we've asked you to be an analyst for the Osceola and give us some of your reflections on as this season progresses. We got a kid here, Marqueston Douglas, number 85, wears your jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a little bit like you. He's 6'4", 270. They call him Biscuit, which is short for he's a biscuit away from being a left tackle.
That's right. I've heard that a few times in my playing days as well, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to being able to scout these young individuals. It's exciting because I remember watching number 87 McDonald, and I like some of the things that he's done. But you've been hyping this other kid, and so I really need to buckle down and make sure I pay more attention to him.
Sometimes you get distracted by a number. I see 85, and so sometimes you think of guys who wore that number in the past.
Sure.
His body and his hands, that's why I've been texting you pictures of him over the years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But Pat, just two last questions. The impact football had on your life.
Yes.
And the impact Florida State people have had on your life. And I'm thinking, let you tell us about the impact and who the people were that really impacted you.
Okay. Football, first and foremost, I would say has afforded me the opportunity to get a college degree. I also was able to play in the National Football League for 10 years. It also allowed me the opportunity to coach, but I've also had the opportunity to play football in another country. I played in Germany. Matter of fact, I played in the Japan Bowl when they still had the college all-star game. So football has afforded me that opportunity to play outside of the country. but I've also traveled within the country. I've lived in Michigan, I've lived in Arizona, I've lived in California, I lived in Texas. And football's been really, really good to me. No question about it. And when I think of the people that have impacted me, obviously Coach Bowden had a huge impact. Really good coach. He was, when I played for him, I thought he was more of the laid back kind of guy, but I didn't realize till I got older was like he made the assistant coaches the bad guys, and he was able to wear the white hat to be the good guy. But he, no question about it, he's been the big Coach Bowden, Coach McDuffie, Coach Brad Scott. All those guys have a hand in my playing career. I wouldn't have been a player that I was without those guys. No question about it. And I'm not sure I play in the National Football League if I didn't get the coaching that they had, because I used those same techniques and fundamentals as a player. And I also taught that when I was coaching as well. So it all stems from my days at Florida State.
Wayne McDuffie, going back to him, hard-nosed guy, but also a great teacher, wasn't he?
Outstanding teacher. Plus, he was one of those very strong disciplinarian coaches who didn't want to get on his bad side. Some people needed that motivation. I was one of them. Because he would not allow you to take a rep off or take a day. No. He held your feet to the fire, but he demanded excellence. And if you look at our offensive line back then, he got some excellent play out of some subpar players. And it's only a testament to him.
And I know you say that with love in your heart.
No question. No question. Oh, I love Sully. They know. I'm pretty sure feelings wouldn't be hurt. They know that. They're not a 6'5", 295 offensive guard or tackle. Those guys are 6'1", 6'2". I'm just saying, when you look at them getting off the bus, they don't look like those guys. Right. But on the field, they gonna play. Like, I'll never forget it was Pat Tomlin and it was Kuipers, I think. But I remember like Neil Smith was the number 2 pick in our draft. And Tomlin and Kuipers, those guys going toe-to-toe with those guys. Never flinched, wasn't scared. And that's a testament to Coach McDuffie, because he had those guys prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. I mean,
it is amazing to me. It really is amazing to me.
It's a tribute to every one of those guys.
Well, yeah, because those guys had to put in the work, and they did it. They did it. And that's been the most amazing. When you look back on that, that's a heck of a feat those guys did. Really, really.
Yeah. Hey, Pat. Close this up with your family and what you're doing today, and some of the works that you've devoted yourself to.
Yeah, I'm down. I live in Bradenton, but I'm like 15 minutes from the community which I grew up in, which is called Newtown. And I still go to church down there, and I still have a lot of friends and a few family members that are still there. So I partake in the community. We just got finished having a 3-day weekend where we had an old school 80s reunion. And on Friday night, we did a meet and greet. Saturday, we had like a barbecue outside. Everybody got together and mingled. And Sunday, we had a church service where we raised over $1,200 to give to the Boys and Girls Club of Newtown. So that was just an awesome experience. As you can see, my voice is still kind of hoarse from that week, from the weekend.
Well, listen, we appreciate you, hoarse voice or not, joining us on this, and we're really proud of you, and
thank you.
Want to thank you for your time.
No, thank you. Thank you for, like I said, thank you for considering me for this opportunity. I look forward to it. I've got an opportunity to coach. Now I get an opportunity to be a scout. So I like that.
Well, thank you so much, Pat.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.